In a world shaken by conflict and revolution, one of Africa's youngest leaders rose not from the ballot box, but from the battlefield. His name is Ibrahim Traoré, a 34-year-old army captain who seized power in Burkina Faso in 2022. To some, he's a hero. To others, a warning. His name is Ibrahim Traoré, a 34-year-old army captain who seized power in Burkina Faso in 2022. To some, he's a hero. To others, a warning. But who is he really? What drives him? And can this young soldier change the course of a troubled nation? Ibrahim Traoré was born in 1988 in the small town of Bondoukou in western Burkina Faso, a quiet, rural region far from the political spotlight of the capital. Like many in his generation, he grew up in a country struggling with poverty, but rich in pride and tradition. Education became his early path forward. Traoré studied geology at university, where he was described as serious, focused, and politically aware. But his destiny would not lie in science, it would lie in service. In 2010, he joined the Burkina Faso army, at a time when threats from armed groups were beginning to spread across the Sahel. Fellow soldiers say Traoré stood out not because he spoke the loudest, but because he showed up. He earned a reputation for being disciplined, humble, and committed. Even then, he was known for his strong sense of patriotism and leadership under pressure. The quiet soldier from Bondoukou was slowly becoming a man of purpose. By the early 2010s, Burkina Faso was entering a dangerous chapter. Jihadist insurgents, once confined to neighboring Mali, were now crossing borders and attacking villages in the north. This is where Captain Ibrahim Traoré was deployed. The north harsh, remote, and under siege. It became his battleground. As the violence escalated, civilians cried out for protection. But many felt abandoned. Traoré and others on the front lines witnessed the disconnect between field realities and leadership in the capital. In January 2022, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba overthrew the president, promising to stop the insurgency. But months later, attacks only grew worse. Supplies were low, morale even lower. Inside the military, frustration deepened. And on the 30th of September 2022, Ibrahim Traoré made his move. Traoré led a second coup in just 8 months, removing Damiba from power. At just 34 years old, he became the world's youngest head of state. Our people deserve peace. We have taken our responsibilities to restore security and protect our homeland. To many, he was a hero, a soldier who didn't just talk but acted. But others questioned, was this another power grabber, the start of real change? Since gaining independence from France in 1960, Burkina Faso has faced a long road of political instability. The country has seen over 10 coups more than any other in West Africa. From revolutionary leaders like Thomas Sankara to decades of authoritarian rule, the nation has struggled to find lasting leadership. In recent years, the challenge grew deadlier. Since 2015, Burkina Faso has been caught in a wave of jihadist violence, spreading from neighboring Mali. Terror groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS have carried out attacks across the north and east, displacing over 2 million people. As insecurity worsened, so did public anger, especially toward France, the country's former colonizer. Many accused French forces of failing to stop the violence while exploiting the region's resources. This gave rise to a new energy, Pan-Africanism, a growing movement calling for African-led solutions, regional unity, and the rejection of foreign influence. So, when Ibrahim Traoré stepped in, many saw him as a symbol of that new vision. Young, African, defiant, but not everyone was convinced. Burkina Faso is a nation still on edge. The people want change, but they've seen too many promises broken before. One of Ibrahim Traoré's first major moves as leader was bold and controversial. He cut military ties with France, ending years of defense cooperation. To many Burkinabe, it was a powerful statement. Burkina Faso will no longer be a colony militarily or politically. In place of France, Traoré turned to new partners, Mali, Niger, and Russia. A new axis of, though officially unconfirmed, Burkina Faso is believed to be cooperating with Russian military advisors, including members of the Wagner Group, raising alarm internationally. Anti-Western military-led governments began to emerge in the Sahel. Inside the country, Traoré launched a controversial yet popular initiative, the Volunteer Defense Forces, or VDPs. Thousands of civilians were recruited to fight alongside the army. These volunteers are hailed as heroes by some and seen as a security risk by others. But to Traoré, they represent Burkinabe courage and resilience. At the heart of his message is a call for self-reliance. Traoré has urged Burkinabe to take ownership of their country's future economically, militarily, and culturally. Our dignity is not for sale. We will build our own solutions on African soil, with African hands. While Captain Ibrahim Traoré enjoys strong support at home and abroad, his leadership has not been without serious controversy. His creation of volunteer defense groups, or VDPs, has raised human rights concerns. Reports have surfaced of abuses, lack of training, and extrajudicial actions in conflict zones. Meanwhile, press freedom has sharply declined. Independent journalists, foreign media, and civil society. Critics say a cult of personality is forming around Traoré and accuse him of drifting toward authoritarian behavior while silencing dissent. Groups have faced censorship, suspensions, and growing pressure. Then there's the question of Russia. Though Traoré denies the presence of Wagner Group forces, many believe Russian mercenaries are operating in Burkina Faso, raising alarm among human rights watchdogs and foreign governments. As the war on terror continues, the line between security and repression grows increasingly thin. On the streets and online, Burkina Faso's youth have embraced Ibrahim Traoré. His rise has sparked a wave of pride, defiance, and hope, especially among a generation hungry for change. From Ouagadougou to Dakar, he's seen as more than just a president. To many, he's a revolutionary figure, rejecting neocolonialism and calling for African unity. Some even compare him to Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's legendary leader of the 1980s, known for his radical reforms, self-reliance, and fearless independence. Like Sankara, Traoré speaks of dignity, justice, and African solutions. But the comparison comes with heavy expectations and real risks. Some warn that the growing cult of personality around Traoré could turn dangerous. When one man becomes the symbol of the entire state, criticism becomes harder and more costly. As the dust settles, Burkina Faso stands at a crossroads. The violence hasn't stopped, the economy struggles, and the promise of democracy still hangs in the air. So far, no clear timeline has been set for a return to civilian rule. And this has raised concern not just inside the country, but across the region. ECOWAS, the West African bloc, has warned Burkina Faso about prolonged military rule. But Traoré and his allies in Mali and Niger have responded with defiance, choosing regional solidarity over foreign pressure. To his supporters, he's a man of the people focused on security, sovereignty, and pride. But to his critics, he risks becoming just another strongman in fatigues. Burkina Faso's future now depends on whether Captain Ibrahim Traoré can do what so many before him failed to do: deliver real change without losing the soul of the revolution.